Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks again so much for tuning in. I'm Simmer Chase. Today's episode 6 of our speed builds. This one's a special one. You know why? It's lilSimsie and I's birthday! I'm so excited! So we have back-to-back birthdays. There's only like a couple celebrities I know of that share my birthday, including Brad Pitt. But I don't know very many people that actually share my birthday or the day before or day after, like lilSimsie and I do. So I thought it'd be really cool to be able to honor her in the Sims community by downloading the McMansion that she described as not a mansion. I'm like, girl, we can fix that. Oh yes, we can. 14 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms. We've got a terrace. We've got a veranda. We have the pool. We have outdoor amenities. We have indoor amenities. We've got a ginormous kitchen. We have 2 laundry rooms even. Yes. So there's lots of color. There's brightness. There's everything that I could think of that really inspires me about lilSimsie. And she is absolutely one of my most favorite and who really inspired me to go into streaming. I've been around in the Sims community for 20 years, which kind of scares some people because, so I thought, this would be really fun to be able to enjoy, for the community and to really kind of just respect and appreciate all the generations that really are within the community. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I do all the heavy lifting and we morph the McMansion into a McMansion mansion. Yes! So I'm so stoked to get started. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe in the links below. And as always, stay proud and go out and do something magical. Let's go ahead and dive in now.
So the first thing I do is I immediately just kind of look back around at the lot and I'm like, this is really amazing. Like, I really love how lilSimsie puts all this detail and work into and thought into building. And I'm not quite sure, I've not really heard her share too many times like how much it actually takes her in time to build and how many hours of her day she actually has to spend building houses. So to me, the first thing I thought about was paying respect to that. So I actually ended up spending like 8 hours just on this building alone. And generally when I'm building, sometimes I'm really tired and it's like 11 o'clock at night because that's when everybody goes to bed at my house. So then I just take a couple hours here and there when I have free time because I do, work a regular day job as well, but fortunately it's from home. But that still doesn't really give me any time to really focus on simming. So, I just like take the time when I have it late in the evening to do it. So sometimes I just, may do something and then like in the morning I'll be like, what was I thinking? Like when I go back and just look at like where I was or, when I have time like on the weekend or whatever and I go and turn on my game again and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I even kind of going in this direction with? So, with this house, I took a little bit of time there to kind of try and figure out the design that I really wanted to go with at first because I really wanted to pay respect a little bit to the original structure of the house and sort of how it was originally created. So I did leave a lot of the back as it was before, but what I ended up doing was kind of making it more of like a veranda style and like a terrace style to where there was just a lot more room to be able to actually put like a barbecue and put other things out there so that it kind of paid homage to the purpose of this build, which is to celebrate our birthdays, So to me, it's all about being able to have a place where you can socialize and gather with a large group of people, which, unfortunately right now we really can't do, but to even be able to kind of fantasize about that a little bit or to maybe have a birthday that we can't have virtually is kind of nice to be able to really enjoy that ability right now. At least we have something, because without the Sims then I would be even more bored and more sad and I would just be cleaning my house, which I probably should be doing right now, and a lot of other things that just are not as fun or exciting to me. It's exciting to have more of the instant gratification stuff for me. I guess maybe that's because I'm a Leo, hence why I was born in August. So it's kind of like a bummer to me to have to do things that I don't really get to see a lot of result from. So that's really why I like The Sims 2. So here, when I thought of lilSimsie, I mean, bless her heart, but she loves gables like I do. And a lot of her houses that she does that has that fun like facade that has like the multi-gable look and that kind of thing. So I really wanted to pay homage to that as well. So here in the house, we've got lots of gables. There's gables, gables, gables. And then when I thought I had enough gables, I added one more and created another dormer there in the back and then to the side. So now I'm just kind of getting the front set up. And sometimes, you know, in houses, I'll do big porches out like immediately to the front. But with this one, I thought it would be more grand to be able to have a really big entry that's, you know, temperature controlled, obviously, because it is kind of in an area, or could be in an area like where I live here in the Midwest that does have winter. Ooh. So you're not going to obviously be able to spend a lot of time out on your porch, on your front porch there in the wintertime. So that's why I went with kind of that idea. So at first, you know, I was like, oh, I'm going to just gable the front here. So you're going to see it morph in a minute to where I end up going with the dome, because I know she did that like octagon house. So I kind of wanted to pay homage to that a little bit by doing the octagon entryway and to make it really opulent, because this is the McMansion mansion. So I wanted to really elevate the mansion aspect of it. And when I think of a McMansion mansion, I really think about really tall ceilings, really opulent detail, and really super bougie. Everything's just bougie bougie. So not just one bougie, but like two bougie, bougie bougie. So to me, it's really important to use paint color and then swatches with the brick and that kind of thing to really sort of highlight the different features and sort of the three-dimensional aspect of the house. Because like I've kind of said in previous videos, but when you look at the house flat on the gallery, it's really hard to understand the depth of the house because you're not looking at the isometric view on the first photo. So you're not able to see like the length and the width of the house. You're just seeing the front of the house. So to me, I think it's really important to be able to kind of highlight and accentuate those sort of details. So when I did the paint and then I did like the brick and that kind of stuff on this house, I really wanted to really kind of accentuate the linear aspects of the house as well as the dimensions of the house. And that, you know, there's protrusions there with the bump out of the gables and the dormers and kind of creating that sense. So now we're getting into this, the front a little bit. So now I'm like, yes, I know what I'm going to do with the octagon entry. And I know she's kind of not a huge fan of the glass roofs, but I think for this and just for an entry, I think it's really fun to be able to use that as like an opportunity and asset for a house. But unfortunately for this house, because the kitchen's so large, I didn't really go with any upper cabinets because I just felt like they didn't really make sense anywhere. And I like the idea of just having more light. And since I already had like a gazillion, not really, but like, you know, 20 or something base cabinets, I felt like having the upper cabinets really aren't necessary to that extent. So I didn't end up including the upper cabinets. And now we're just kind of, I'm getting in all of my windows because again, I wanted it to accentuate the linear height of the mansion and to give it that mansion feel. Because this is like, you know, an urban mansion, so you're not going to be able to have a big footprint, but I still wanted to be able to fit a lot of space within the footprint and to be able to accommodate a lot of bedrooms and a lot of bathrooms, because I feel like in a McMansion, somebody is going to really want to be able to have it all. They're not going to want to have any compromises, and they're going to want to be able to entertain. They're going to be able to want to kind of show off and have it more as like a status symbol, because for some people still these days, it's all about either their house or their car, you know, and like, I've made it. This is my representation of I made it. So I really thought of, if I were in that mindset, what would I want? So it's all about, you know, just kind of really going along with that idea and that mentality of putting yourself in the shoes of the person that maybe you're theming the house after. And almost like it's acting in a way, you know, you're like going in and you're like, ooh, and being like a lot of hypotheticals too, but you're just like, ooh, what if it was like this? Or what if I was like this person and how would I want it? And then I was also paying respect then to lilSimsie as well. So, I really wanted to go with the color because I noticed in a lot of her builds and on her videos and stuff, she likes blue. I knew that. I know that her birthday's in August and it's right before mine, like the day before, from what I've heard from her videos. And then also just like how she really likes things that are spacious and inviting, but also she really likes the knitting pack. From what I remember and all the votes and everything, it was kind of a sore spot for her on how it got named because, she preferred a different name, which I thought was really cute myself because I like the other previous name. But, it's okay. It's all about the community and that kind of stuff. So we're not always going to like the exact same things as everyone else. And I think that's what's exciting about our community because there's just so much opportunity in learning from each other. And then also to be able to embrace the real world as well, because some of us, we don't get a lot of social time with other people in real life, or, maybe we were bullied like myself. There for a time in my life, when I was in school and in high school and that kind of stuff, I was heavily bullied and just had a lot of really bad negative experiences with a lot of people and had very few friends. So this was the opportunity for me to kind of figure out how to socialize with people, honestly, even, and to figure out what's appropriate to say and how do you discuss things with people. So, and then, the interactions, that kind of stuff. So to me, it was really important to kind of pay homage to that a little bit too. And then also that now that I'm lucky enough to have a few close friends, and then several friends in the community as well. So I thought, what if we were all in this house and we could, all sit at the bar, or sit at the table. Here in a minute, you'll see me put the table in, but I was really thrilled to do that. So here's where I'm finishing out the kitchen. And this is what I was really, do I really need those uppers? No, I don't need uppers. So I didn't go with them this time. And lilSimsie inspired me too for the rugs and stuff like that, because I know that she uses rugs as well. I love them because they define the space, and then it kind of sets off the tone of the design and the scheme that you're using in your theme. So those are some of the first things that really went in for me. And then I thought, this would be fun because she's in, Florida. And I thought it would be really fun to be able to have an eat-in kitchen and that sort of thing too. And since she's from the Sunshine State, that's another reason why I went with the glass roof there on the second floor and just deleted that floor. So it's this really giant, tall, super tall, entryway, because I felt why not? We have, in this instance, I have an unlimited budget and some time. So why not? So I did kind of theme out each of the rooms a little different though. So I did the universal, overall, bougie wallpaper that's just sort of that, really soft color. So a lot of things go with it since it's just white and light gray. But I wanted to give it, and I decided not to, I was going to maybe put a little ornament on top of that. And I was like, why? I don't really need it because I felt like it was going to take away and make it more cheesy looking. And so I decided against that. And then it took me a minute to kind of decide on my staircases, but that was another thing I really wanted to kind of, say, hey, lilSimsie, I'm here. Hi, hey, by utilizing our furniture staircases, our staircase features, and kind of making it as more of a furniture object in a way, that it's something to look at and be wow, that's really cool. So, and it was a neat thing that both of us, I think, were really excited about at the same time. So it was really funny because, I was I know I can make some neat staircases if I just had the tools. So then once that came out, I'm oh my gosh, this just opens a whole new world up. So you're going to see several different variations of staircases come along in this build, because I felt like that is also part of the McMansion concept too, because you're going to have a house and a mansion that just has this really opulent staircase. And I wish we could do spiral, and I really, really wish we could do curved staircases. But in lieu of that, we have the staircases that I've assembled. So you're going to see ones that kind of go up and then split. You're going to see ones that go straight but are wide. and that type of thing. And then you're gonna see ones that just have like a middle landing. And then it's fun because you can then like pop in furniture easy around it and make it a good focal point. And each of the bedrooms kind of have their own distinct style. And then I tried to incorporate the bathrooms with the bedrooms to give them their own like little style together. But then like each one has their own like subset style. So it's supposed to be sort of like a cohesive feel, I hope. And then I tried to use that rug there in the dining room to make sure that it did pull together that little unique space for that little like eating dining room area. And then you'd have your bigger one, so you could like have breakfast or whatever there, and then you'd have your overall bigger space there for company or your large eating area, or maybe just a huge catch-all, you know, and you like clutter, then you can just clutter up a whole dining room table and go on forever, kind of the way that my dining room tables in the past have been. So now I'm just kind of like working on a little bit of the outside, because I really like that she does so well with all the different features of like blending and adding in a lot of various plants and lighting and that kind of stuff together. So I really tried to kind of keep that as I went along. I just wanted to upgrade it. So that's kind of what this was really about too, was just kind of upgrading it and saying, yeah, these features are great, but I remember other objects and how they might fit together, or how we could maybe, you know, elevate things just a little bit more. So as if I was going in and being not quite a fixer-upper person, but just kind of going in and saying, hey, you know, we have these additional assets and things like that we could use, and they might fit together, in my opinion. So now I'm just kind of getting the rest of the pool. I really like being able to paint the pool and to kind of choose different pool textures and colors than the usual, because I feel like it gives it a little more realism and then kind of creates its own theme. So the house isn't going to look like another one. And so that's kind of, I basically kept her same shape and all of that. And actually those two lounge chairs as well, they're some of my favorite. So I did keep those as well, and was just like, oh my gosh, like I know how I can add just a tad bit more to certain things. And it's just so exciting because like her idea really fueled me. Like, not only has it inspired me to come and do the streaming and to come and do everything, I'd never want to be like a competitor or her, like anybody to think that I'm not like, that I'm like trying to be negative about it or anything, but it's all about just like uplifting each other and like spinning off of each other. You know, like she had this idea, and now I know how I can elevate it and take it one step further for her. So then she could then go and download that and play with it if she wanted, or, you know, just be like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. And, you know, I've seen her do her shell challenges and stuff on her show, but that was before I really got into streaming. And I was like, oh, these are fun. I really like them. But I kind of broke the rules a little bit, because I did get rid of a lot of windows, or, you know, all of her windows. And I got rid of, you know, almost all the walls, and really built out a lot different than, you know, like than what she had originally had, to an extent. Like the downstairs kind of is very similar, just expanded. But then the upstairs, I, you know, just kind of went a little bit more, because I wanted to go with that McMansion theme and really take and run with that. So that's where I, you know, just kept adding more levels to the cake, so to speak. So there's just more and more and more added on to the upper levels. And I really like, and I know that she does too, but just like, because it's really fun to play The Sims with like rooms that are a lot more bright and light and that kind of stuff. You're not straining your eyes or squinting when you're looking at it. And then especially in the evening time, when it's in evening time in The Sims, then you kind of have the chance at being like, wow, this is cool. Oh yeah. And then I was like trying to figure out my fountains at first. So I ended up going with a fountain, like those little fountains, versus doing the pond. Because at first I wanted to do the pond, but then I realized that it made a hole there. So I had to get rid of those and move on from that. So now you see like what the steps and staircase and stuff like that is, and how it's coming together. So as usual, I in my assembly process now. So all the toilets, then all the sinks, then all the toilet paper holders, then all the towels, and on and on and on. So that it's a very big assembly process. And then again, so I can make sure that I don't duplicate myself, because I wanted to make sure that each thing had its own, like each room and everything had its own individual theme. So we're just coming around and getting all those in. And I thought, you know, like I would make her a big old master bed too, bedroom and bathroom. So there to the side with the dual closets, you know, she can definitely take that and, you know, enjoy as well, hopefully. And it's much easier to have the light and stuff like that. So that's why I built the dormers and things too, because you can just, you know, take out the floor of the dormer and then it's just this giant area for light and natural light. And it's just super welcoming that way. So this is where you're starting to see, but you can see how the staircases are kind of coming together a little bit too. But I kind of do come in with the lighting later on, which is kind of what I tend to do. And then I'll go in and do the decorations and stuff like that. But especially, I think that that's because I started playing The Sims so early on. But back in the old days, like old days as I say, but like back in like 2001, 2002 with The Sims 1 and then in Sims 2 to an extent, I mean, you couldn't really pile things on a tile. You had one tile, one object. And then you had to make sure that you allowed one tile width. There was no sub tile. Like now we have 4 tiles within a tile, which is fantastic. And we have the Alt key. So you can hold your Alt key down to move things wherever around in the grid for the most part. Then we can upscale, downscale items, which is also super cool and was really exciting and open again in a whole new world. But in the beginning, you know, you just kind of had to be stuck with this one cube, only this on this one wall tile. And you couldn't pile rugs and all that kind of stuff either. So I'm kind of stuck like that now, like in that mentality of when I go and build. So that's why you see me like come in with the beds and then come in with the lighting then after, and then circle back to the like final decor and like the wallpaper and stuff like that at the end, because that was kind of the way that you had to do it so that things didn't like break or fall apart or get automatically removed or added to your inventory in earlier versions of the game. And there was just kind of, you know, not really glitches, but glitches basically. Just, you know, that's because the capability of the software and the game at the time that allowed us to only kind of have those options. So that kind of morphed me as how I still play. And now I'm just afraid of forgetting something, so I still play like that rather than doing room by room. I do them all at the same time. So, you know, sometimes it might be a little bit hard to follow too. So I'm still working on that, but that's the beauty of being able to stream and learn at this point, is kind of, you know, how do I tweak myself a little bit more to make sure that it's even better of an experience now that it's like beyond just building the house, but how am I delivering an experience, which is what lilSimsie really has helped me just from watching her videos and her builds and how she's really learned that. And that was really inspiring for me. So now these are some of my favorites. Like they remind me of those like paper mesh sort of lights that you can buy at IKEA. And so I love using those sparingly, of course, but they're some of my favorite lights. So I have been known to use them several times and quite often, probably more than I should, but it's just a lot of fun. And I really like being able to use them because they just add a fun little whimsy look to the space. So now we're coming through and I'm just getting the last bits, and I decided against doing anything up there because I end up just coming in with some like estate lighting, you know, the like lights that shine up at your house, so that again it accentuates the features and then the dimensions of the house. So now, and then of course I'm just kind of finishing out the bedrooms at this point, getting in my furniture and pulling in those items, which it took me a moment to kind of figure out the bookshelf. And we really don't have a lot of like single tile tall bookshelves like I would prefer. As I've been streaming more now, I realize how much time it takes me to look for things at times. And, you know, when I do these videos, it makes me kind of think about that a little bit more of like, oh, how long does it really take to source an object? So I'm trying to cut that down a little bit more too. But generally it's just fun to kind of go and pretend like you're window shopping and actually be able to just pick whatever and be like, yeah, I don't care that it's 5,000 simoleons. I want it. I'm getting it. And then I want to be able to have like every single person be able to have their own bedroom. So it's like, you have a bedroom, you have a bedroom. You have 8 guests, they want a bedroom. So now your whole family plus all of their family and all of your guests can stay there at the house, you know, because this would accommodate, it's got 16 bedrooms. So it would accommodate 32 Sims technically, even though we're only allowed 8. You know, there are mods out there that do allow for more guests. So this one I kind of went with a whimsy sort of like, I would call it the educated Simsie look. Like a, not saying like she's not educated, but just of like, you know, like the House of Educated Wicker, you know, how they've got like that like Scandinavian / like upper end vibe, but it's like super pale and light and bright. So that's what I was thinking about, is like the educated Simsie look. So it's just like super top shelf, but very clean and nice. So to say of like, you know, maybe when we're like in our 40s or 50s, we're like, oh yeah, this is like us. So I was trying to like maybe like think about like our generations as well, and how like, you know, like what if we're like 50, what are we gonna want? Or we're 70, what are we gonna want? Like, because I'm like, you know, in my 30s now, and I know she's significantly younger than me, but fortunately, but I was like, you know, it's really neat because I'm like, what would you want when you're older? And my taste really changed a lot from my 20s to my 30s. And I just kind of really started, which I started getting a lot of my design sense and stuff like that from The Sims, you know, back in a long time ago. And now it's like, I take the opportunity to kind of think about those sort of things of like, what am I going to want in another 20 years? Because I can kind of, you know what I liked when I was 14 and playing The Sims for the first time. And, you know, it came out like right after my birthday, and then Living Large, you know, came out like just the following year, and then A Hot Date and Vacations and all that. So it was just really fun to kind of have that chance to be able to kind of like pay homage to like the generational aspects that we have here in the community. And then to kind of think of like, if we were older, if we were younger, because then there, you know, now there's going to be another generation of Simmers after us, even, you know, like in the next step, which is right now, I think they're calling them Gen C, for, you know, Corona, obviously. But, so yeah, it's like thinking of like, what is Gen C going to want? Because she's Gen Z, I'm Gen Y. And, you know, then we have baby boomers in the community, which is super exciting. Go baby boomers. Then we also have the what they call a silent generation, which are going to be our great grandparents and maybe even some of our grandparents, the folks that were around just before World War II during the Depression era. And then we also have, you know, the Gen Xers, which could be a lot of our parents as well. If they're not baby boomers, then they're going to be Gen Xers. So that's kind of the thing here. And yeah, I'm Gen Y or millennial, you know, like either way. Like we were initially called Gen Y, but then it kind of morphed into millennial. But the people of us that don't like to be branded as millennial, I like to call myself a Gen Yer, because I feel like it's just like there's less stigma to that, because I'm not lazy, and I you know, there's just so many stigmas with that, like, oh, you're lazy, or you still live with your parents, or yada yada. And it's like none of that applies to me. And, you know, so it's just really exciting to kind of think about all of the different generations and diversity of skin tones and of you know, LGBT community, and just all this significant diversity within the Simmer community. And that's what I really wanted to kind of bring home here to this house, that everybody's welcome, and everybody kind of has a place at the table, and no matter what. So now I'm just kind of getting the rest of my rugs and stuff in and kind of getting out the last little bits of things, and, you know, kind of bringing in the last of the style and design of stuff and bringing in more stuff. And then soon I have a little bit of a surprise. I can't wait to see towards the end of the video. You'll get to see here in a minute what I do, but you'll watch, hopefully. So I'm just kind of getting in the last little specs. And I noticed that some of the things like disappeared, you know, as they do when you make a lot of changes and stuff. So I brought that back. And then this is another little Simsie touch. I love being able to have plants in my kitchen and like the idea of having herbs and things like that. And then I did some clutter. It takes me a little bit of patience to do clutter. So I was trying to do as much as I really like thought about. But then I thought, you know, when you come into these McMansions, there's always like a bowl of fruit or some glass balls or something, and like on a pedestal, and you're like, what's this here for? It's like in the way. But I went ahead and put it in because I thought it would, again, pay respect to that look. And so now I'm just adding flowers up the wall because I thought that that would be another little Simsie touch, just from what I've seen from her create. And I thought that that would be a fun little like thing and aspect to have and add. So, and then I know like this was almost sort of like a little move, like just a kind of like a tongue-in-cheek thing, because I know she doesn't like the Strangerville stuff that much, and she doesn't like aliens and all that. So I did add in that alien sort of plant garb stuff up there just to kind of like weave that in a little. And so now I'm getting in the rest of my like extra pieces here. There's the cow plants, team cow plant. The cow plants. Oh, yep. So now we're just spinning around here and going through. So thanks again so much, everybody, for tuning in. And I hope you guys have a great day and stay proud and go out and do something magical. Thanks again. Now I'm coming down here to this last bit, and then down here to the end, and then we're going in to just kind of peek around, and just kind of scooping around a little bit for the last little bits, just so that you guys can see this.